Welcome to the Cuddler Chronicles, pain-free living beyond the body. There's a lot of stuff in life that's a big pain in the... and other people solve those problems, you know. So I take care of muscle and joint pain, but all the other types of pains, like I never knew before I bought this house how much of a pain having a house can be.
Being a homeowner, it's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely is. So I know one of the big things, you know, we were talking about this before, how during the pandemic, people, like, you know, the pandemic and then the economy afterwards, how people are just not moving.
No.
And multiple generations are living in there. And we were talking about this concept called aging in place.
Yes.
And I was telling you that reminded me of like shelter in place.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, people want to stay in their homes. So
it is. So what, before like last year, the year before last, I guess, people were buying homes quickly, fast. It was the housing market was insane. You had super, super low interest rates and people were just buying houses, and we were meeting with a lot of people that had just bought houses, right? And like that was like our bread and butter. Like people had just moved in their house. They needed built-ins. Like the economy, I felt like, was better during the pandemic. Whatever. It's definitely changed since then.
Definitely getting a lot of money thrown into it.
Right. A lot of money thrown in the pandemic, which is probably why we're in the position that we are now. But now what I'm seeing is a lot of people, multi-generational families, trying to figure out how to live together and age in place. And for, you know, my older customers, how to age in place safely. So, you know, we've been adding handrails, doing bathroom remodels to like make them just safer for our older clients, widening doorways for wheelchair access, things like that to help these families stay in an affordable situation, because the housing market, especially if you're trying to get into the housing market right now, it's tough. It's tough if you're young. It's tough if you don't make a ton of money. It's tough. And so a lot of these people that I'm working with are finding that it's easier to pull all of our money together and, you know, live a normal lifestyle, but you might just have like 12 roommates. Wow.
That's like a whole change in the culture
from America. It is, because I feel like it used to be 18, get out of my house.
Yeah.
But, it, you know, now that, and you still see some of that, you know, there are some people that this time has not affected them at all. And bless those people, but there are a lot of folks, middle class folks, that, you know, have just been really, really affected by this. And so we're seeing a lot of, how can we stay here? Like, how can, even though this wasn't the house that I had dreamed of for my forever house, the market is not in a space where I can buy a new space that's equal or greater value and save money. Like, a lot of people are just struggling with that. And so they're, you know, taking the opportunity to make these homes like what they really want them to be, you know, because why not? You know, like, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, you know, they may have plans that they were going to go somewhere, but now with the economy the way it is, they're staying. And so we've seen a lot of this, like, you know, obviously there are a lot of people still buying houses, and I don't discredit that at all. That's also a lot of my bread and butter is, you know, still people buying new houses and wanting to make it their own. But, you know, a lot of people that just want to maintain their own house and have it last, you know, through the generations, so that they have some equity to pass down to the next generation. So.
And we definitely want to get into the maintenance thing, but my question here is, without knowing somebody like you, how are we even going to know what's possible as far as being able to stay in your house? Because people bought it and they have a second floor master and they're like, oh, I'm getting older, these stairs suck.
Yeah, a lot of it is just if they don't know somebody like me, then they should reach out to their trusted individuals in their lives. Real estate agents, most of them have a Rolodex of people. Rolodex, man, that's dating me for sure.
I'm older than you are, so don't.
But so there are a lot of trusted people in your life probably have a lot of referral network partners. If you're local in Richmond, you can always reach out to us. But if not, your mortgage people, your real estate agents, anyone in those industries know the good guys. Gotcha. They know the guys that are going to take care of you. Because I've gone into houses before, you know, where people are like, what if we did this? What if we did this? And it would have been a high ticket item. But I would much rather tell somebody, like, if that's not going to work, rather than just take their money, right? And like, you know, say this might work for the temporary, but it's not going to be effective for you long term.
Right.
And sometimes that means I'm turning money away, but I also want the customers to get what's going to help them in the future and not have to come back to me in 6 months and say, hey, this solution didn't work.
Right.
So.
Right. And that's honestly what has struck me, like, since knowing you for the past year. It's really struck me how I've heard so many negative things about people in your profession, and I've heard so many stories from friends of mine and past patients about how, we put this $10,000 deposit down on this job, and then the guy took off and went to Florida, and that was their third contract.
It really sucks because you have a lot of people that have distrust for the industry. And that's really unfortunate because I am in the industry because I want to help people. I want to help people love their homes. I want to help people feel safe and comfortable in their homes. I want people to walk in and feel like this is home, not just a house. This is what I wanted it to be, what my vision is. And I take things so personally that like, I can't imagine just like blowing people off, or like taking their money and I wouldn't be able to sleep or function or anything. My anxiety would kill me. And so I feel terrible. There have been, especially locally, there was a big contractor that went under this year and it affected a lot of people. Really? And I've got clients that, paid deposits and then the company filed bankruptcy. And at that point, there's nothing you can do, and it breaks my heart. And so, I think that's one reason why asking people that in your life for referrals and things like that are better than just like picking up the phone and calling whoever's the first list on Google, because if somebody's saying like, hey, you should talk to this person, that they've probably already worked with them or they know somebody that's worked with them,
right?
And can give you that kind of background and say, like they're going to take care of you. One of the things that I'm the most proud of on my staff is like we get back to people very quickly. Like I don't ever want anyone to be like, and if we don't, it's me. It's not my staff. It's me. I drop the ball. But we don't ever want anyone to think that we don't care, that we don't want their business. Like we will always. My assistant is amazing. She gets back to everyone really quickly, and I think that's really important for this industry. And a lot of us need to kind of take and do that in order for the industry as a whole to be trusted again.
Right.
There have been a lot of fly-by-night contractors and people just kind of popping up, trying to cash in while the cash is good. Yeah. A lot of them have been weeded out, was now that the economy has kind of turned a little bit. The guys that were just trying to make some quick cash, they're getting weeded out because they can't sustain with the economy doing what it's doing. But always ask trusted professionals who they think is the best.
Okay. All right. So speaking of being trusted, the amount of maintenance that's required in a house, like how do you help people other than, call me whenever there's an issue, the preventative stuff, So that's hard. And it's something that I feel like, and maybe this is like a separate business venture that I look at down the road where it's like a maintenance like plan or something like that, where you come in, every quarter. But really, anytime that, especially for new homeowners, I have no problem going in and having like a meeting and saying like, these are things that you're going to want to keep up with or keep track of throughout the year. And then let me know if these things become an issue. But there are certain things, having your gutters cleaned. I cannot tell you the amount of repair I've done on a house because people don't clean their gutters. It's a lot, way too much. And gutter cleaning isn't that expensive. Get your gutters cleaned. I have a referral. If you need a guy, I got a guy. That is one of the biggest things. Is that what, like twice a year type thing? Like in the beginning of the fall, end of the fall?
I am not a gutter guy, so I would ask your trusted gutter guy. But I think more often than not more often, I have been in very expensive houses that have lots of water damage because the gutter got clogged.
Wow.
And it literally takes a phone call and having a guy come out on a ladder to clean out your gutters. And it would have saved them thousands of dollars. So clean your gutters. Okay. That is number one.
Okay.
But aside from that, I think it's education. Okay. And I think that a lot of people are lacking in education when they buy a house. They just don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. But that doesn't mean that you're an idiot. It just means that that's not your area of expertise.
Right.
So, like, I have customers that are, new homeowners, and they'll call me and they'll be like, hey, in the wintertime, I noticed that, like, my floors creak a little bit more. And I'm like, that's normal. So I would much rather somebody, like, ask the questions and be educated than assume that everything's fine because their house is brand new, or because they just bought it, or because it just had an inspection, or because that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything. Like caulking tubs, that's got to be done, not like every couple of months, but it's got to be done pretty regularly, or you can create water damage. If there's water getting in between or around or behind, you're just dumping water behind your tub. The same in your kitchen. If you ever notice, like, the difference between your backsplash and, like, your cabinetry, or your backsplash and your countertop, all that can just be recaulked. And it's just general maintenance, but it just helps. One, it looks nicer when it's recaulked, but two, it just helps water or debris from getting back behind different places. So, like, there's a lot of just random things. And then things, wood moves. Like, a lot of people don't understand wood moves. It doesn't matter if it's 100-year-old wood or 3-day-old wood. Wood moves. It is a living. It doesn't matter
whether it's treated or not.
It does not matter. It's going to move. So, like, cabinetry, you'll notice in the wintertime when wood shrinks, there's not as much humidity. You'll have, like, caulk lines where you can see, like, on your crown molding is infamous for this, because you'll start to see your caulk lines disappear, and you'll have, like, gaps where the wood has just shrunken down from less humidity in the summertime when the wood expands. Doors are the same. Sometimes you'll notice, like, full wood doors, not, these particle doors or whatever, but wood doors will swell in the summer and shrink in the winter. And so those are normal things that happen in houses, and I get calls a lot of time. They're like, "Oh, why is this happening?" I'm like, "It's normal. It's because it's cold." And a lot of times it's age of the house or whatever. And there are things that we can do. We can shave down doors and stuff and make them easy so that they work in the winter and in the summer. But a lot of these things are normal. But I would much rather educate someone than come out and just, like, take their money just for the sake of that. That drives me crazy. But But no, I'm always available for questions for, like, stuff like that, because it's a lot of times you don't know. I was very fortunate. I grew up with a dad that was a contractor. And so, I asked the questions, or these things were just, like, done in the house, and so.
I'm like, why are you doing that, Dad?
Yeah. And so it's like second nature, but a lot of people didn't grow up in that.
I didn't.
Like, even in our meeting that we were in this morning, where they were talking about changing the air filter, and it dawned on me, I'm like, I wonder how many people don't know that they've got to change their air filter, and they just don't know, because they don't know. Not because they're stupid, or because they don't want to, or because they can't afford to. Yeah. They just don't know that that's a thing that has to be done.
I will tell you this. I was renting a place not far from here. And I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I was like, I've changed the filter, but I can't find the return. And, like, so it was in a room where the door itself was the return, because it was slotted.
Oh, yeah.
And I just could not find it. And he was like, it's right here.
It's the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of times, like, you don't know. Or if, like, you lived in a house that was, like, full electric, and then you moved to a house with gas, or vice versa, or whatever. Like, sometimes you just don't know. I've never lived in a house with gas services. So, if I go into a house that has gas, I've got guys on my team that obviously know all the things. But, there are certain things that you have to, like, keep in mind for, when you're moving a stove, especially, especially there's a big difference if there's a gas service versus if it's just electric. And so things like that, and I think it's education. And I think, I could get on my soapbox about this, but in high school, we just don't teach these kids how to be adults.
No.
And I think that this is part of it, just general, like, maintenance, or not maintenance, but, like, how to be an adult. Because a lot of these things, no matter if you're living in an apartment or a house, you've got to change your air filter.
Right.
Change light bulbs, stuff like that I feel like we should all know how to do.
Yeah. And there's, same thing with physical body, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff that we just don't know because there are certain things, like anytime your stress goes above your muscles' ability to handle it, you're going to be sore.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, living like a 0 out of 10 pain, like living there, that's not a pain-free life. That's not what we're talking about, because anytime you do it, you're going to get up to that point where you're like, this is concerning, but I can still work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you really shouldn't be worried unless it's stopping you from doing something.
Yeah.
But I never would have known that about the house, that, there's certain stuff that you just have to keep going.
Yeah.
Unless,
There are always projects in a house.
Yeah.
Always. I've never been to, I don't care how expensive the house is, I don't care. There's always something that could be done in a house.
So
and a lot of it's just maintenance.
Yeah.
It's just maintenance stuff.
I've seen communities that advertise, when they're being built, that they're like maintenance-free living. And I'm like, is that realistic?
I mean, maybe on the outside, like, you don't have to cut your own grass or, like, mulch your own flower beds or whatever. But I have a customer who lives in a maintenance-free community, and her HOA doesn't do anything that they're supposed to do. And so I've gone and definitely helped her take care of some things that needed to be done, like missing siding, and the HOA was supposed to take care of it. And so you've got those things happening. But then there's the inside, you know, and there's a lot of things that you can do on the inside to make it safe, more comfortable.
Right.
Clean and air filters, that's a huge one that a lot of people, I got a little smacked on the hand.
Oh, yeah?
I have 3 dogs, and I wasn't changing it every month. I was changing it, every 3 months or so.
Yeah.
And I had the HVAC people come out, and they're like, you have 3 dogs, you need to change your air filter more often. Yes, they're right. I was wrong, and so now I know. So if you have a lot of dogs, change your air filter more often than every couple of months.
Yeah. Because it's all about the stress in your life, stress in your house.
And that's putting a lot of stress on your HVAC system.
Yeah.
And I'll
Vacuum
tell you,
too.
those things are your vacuum too. Those things are so expensive, HVAC stuff. And of course, we live in an area where air conditioning is necessary for most of the year. So but maintenance is key. I mean, for a lot of things, there are a lot of jobs that I wouldn't have to do if things were just maintained.
Okay.
Decks are another one, like resealing decks.
Oh,
Yeah.
You told me about that one.
I did. I told you, you got to reseal your deck every couple of years or it's going to fall apart.
Right.
And then you have to build a whole brand new one.
Right.
And, we don't mind doing that for you either, but I would much rather just come out and seal it for you.
Right. Well, and that's not nearly as fun having you do those jobs as it is making the house yours. Yeah. And I know you wanted to talk about that, like the difference between, is it really your house if you don't make it the way you want it? If you're just worried about how it's going to sell?
This one I could be on my soapbox for a really long time, so definitely stop me at some point, because I'm a firm believer that when you own a home, make it your own. Don't create the space just to have it ready to sell for the next person. Because why? Like, why have a house? Why not just rent? Like, if you're literally not going to put anything into the house, just rent. I mean, you're not fun. Yeah, you won't be a customer. Just kidding. That was kind of rude. But really, if you buy a space, why are you not making it your own? Because here's the thing: the next person that buys that house is going to change it anyways.
Right.
I have quite a few clients that have bought new houses in the last few years and have changed all of the things about it. Nothing is the same. The floors aren't the same, and the kitchen's not the same. So why are we decorating, building, doing things in the house in plain things that we don't like just to sell the house later?
Right.
Like, that just doesn't make any sense. I think people, everyone's style is different. No two people are the same. So even if you say it's generic, like, the next person is not generic, and they're probably going to change it anyway.
Right.
So that is one of my biggest pet peeves. It drives me insane. If you own a home, make it a home. Yeah. Make it a place where you feel comfortable. Make it a place where all the things that you love are displayed. what is you. Make it that space, you know? Don't make it for the next person. You don't know the next person. What if they hate beige or grayish or whatever color you've picked? What if they hate that?
Grayish.
It doesn't matter, you know? I think most people, especially these days with like HD TV and all this stuff, they can see beyond the whatever blandness you put in your house in order to put it on the market. People can see beyond that, and they're going to create it the way that they want to. Right. So why live in something that you don't love? Like, just make it what you love.
Completely agree. When my wife and I were looking at this house, we saw a picture of the floor in the kitchen, and we hated it. And we're like, but that's not a big enough thing for us to not do it, because
you're never going to find a house that 100% checks off every single box anyways. So if you find a house that you love, but the prior owner loved like lime green, okay, cool. We can paint lime green. Like, it doesn't, that's okay. And I think that people are so caught up in the next thing that it's like, okay, well, if you're going to sell your house in 5 to 10 years, so for 5 to 10 years, you're just going to live here and not love your space. I don't love that for you. Like, I don't love that for people. Be you. Create a space that you love, that your family loves, that your family feels comfortable in. And I promise, like, your house is still going to sell whenever you're ready to sell it. But, like, and maybe even to somebody way cool, and y'all can be friends, you know? Things happen. The world is crazy. But, like, I really think that creating a space that you love is so important.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice. And that actually leads into, I think I told you about this, like I have a set of questions that I want to ask everybody at the end of these interviews, and I'm calling it the painkiller closer.
Okay.
Right? So the first question is just, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Oh, you don't need anyone's permission to be yourself.
Okay.
One of my friends, Lindsay, like 20 years ago, longer than that, probably 25 years ago, told me that I was in like a crappy relationship. And you don't ever need anyone's permission to be yourself. And anytime anyone's like, what's the best piece of advice you've ever heard? I'm like, it's that, because I don't. I'm just
I was going to say, I didn't show you the questions beforehand. And
no. That is it.
There is no question what the best one was.
That is it.
So in your field, what is the worst piece of advice? Not necessarily that you've given, but like maybe even if you heard somebody else give it. Like, what's the worst piece of advice?
We've always done it that way. I hate that.
Okay.
Technology has changed. Materials have changed. Manufacturing has changed. A lot has changed. And in the trades in the last, as technology changes on our phones, like technology has also changed in the trades. And so there are a lot of old guys in the trade. That's how it's always been. I don't understand why you're doing it like that. Well, okay. Things can be new.
Yeah.
And new doesn't mean bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Different. It's cool.
That is really cool.
There's new stuff to make things a lot easier than they used to do back in the day. I give a lot of guys, a lot of the old heads, a lot of credit because they did a lot of things by hand. And now I can buy those things. And that's great. And that's just the way that it is now. Some people are like, well, that's not how I used to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. There was a old story that, this family, they always ate like half of a turkey. I mean, they always would like cut the Thanksgiving turkey in half, and they would just have half of it.
Where'd the other half go?
I'm not sure. It wasn't part of the story, but at least not the version I heard. But it was like, one time somebody was like, "Why do we do this? Why not cook the whole thing?" And then they, asked their mother, and they're like, "I don't know. That's my mother always used to do it."
It's always been that way.
They got back to Grandma, and she was like, "Oh, our stove was too small. We couldn't fit the whole thing, so we had to cut it in half." So it's like, we don't have a small stove anymore. We don't have to cook half the turkey. Yeah. Right?
But I think that hinders a lot of people, is we've always done it this way. Right. And it's like, well, sometimes things change, and it's okay to try something new.
Right. Right. Absolutely, if it's better.
Save you a little bit of time.
Yeah. Well, where tradition has value, then you keep it. But if it doesn't have any value...
Exactly.
What would you describe as your purpose in life?
I want to help people. Yeah. Like, I feel like any aspect of any career that I've had, I've always just wanted to help people, make people happy. I'm a people pleaser by nature, so when people are happy, I'm happy. I feed off of that energy. So I just like to make people happy, and whether it's with whatever we've built or whatever we've created, like that makes people happy. And I like that.
I like it. Well, it's definitely going in with your I want the house to be yours.
Yeah.
That's same thought process. So I love how you're integrating that into how you do your job.
I'm fairly simple. As long as people are happy, then things are good. And I'm one of those people that thinks the best about everyone, which is good or bad, it is what it is. But I think that everyone's goal is to be happy at the end of the day.
Right.
And I think that if I can do like a little part to help someone get there, then like, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a good way to spend your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to make, and I also want to make things pretty.
There you go.
It's pretty to look at. I like
pretty
that.
and happy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like my rose-colored glasses world. It's okay. I live in my own little bubble. It's totally fine, and I'm happy in my little bubble.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to come join me in the little rose-colored glasses bubble where everything's happy and good.
That's cool. So, I guess this runs right into it, but what is something that other people value, you don't? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think stuff.
Oh, like physical things.
Yeah, like stuff. I'm not a big stuff person, a clothes person. Like I'm not a jewelry person. Like that's just not a thing that I've ever really been into. So stuff is not a thing that's important to me. Okay. Like my relationships, my plants, which is really weird to say, but they're like living beings. I have so many plants and they're important to me. But like other stuff in my house, it's just stuff.
Okay. I like it. Somebody else was on here, Mark was on here, and he was saying, money for the sake of money.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're saying something similar, like stuff for the sake of stuff.
Yeah.
Because
like I'm not the one that's going out and buying like a brand new TV just because like I have the crappiest phone that they have because I'm in construction. I drop it. You know, like why am I going to spend $1,300 on a phone that I'm probably going to break? None of my cars are within 15 years old. Even my work trucks. Like, that's never been a thing that's important to me.
It's just got to be useful.
Yeah, like if something's useful, like obviously, like I will spend a lot of money on tools and things like that. And I've spent good money on my vehicles and things, but like, it's just stuff. Like at the end of the day, and I have different perspective. I lost my mom 10 years ago, and so I have a little bit different perspective of that. Because like at the end of the day, we can't take anything with us except for like memories and things like that. So like, why? There's so many people that are just obsessed with stuff, and I don't like that.
Okay. On that vein, if you could create one law that people had to follow, what would it be?
Oh, be kind.
Be kind.
The world is lacking empathy these days, and that I'm a very empathetic person, and that bothers me. And I think if more people were just like spoke from their actual heart instead of like this hard shell that everyone's trying to wear these days, then I think that we as a society would get along a little bit better if people were just kind. Like just be kind for the sake of being kind, because why not?
Right.
Like what? Why not?
I like it. Is there a book or a podcast or a movie or something that you're really passionate about? And if so, why?
The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. Which one? Live action or the...
No, like the OG, Little Mermaid. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I have several mermaids tattooed on me. Really? I've had mermaid hair throughout the years. Like,
what is mermaid hair?
Like the purple and blue and pink, like all the different colors.
Okay.
I don't know why. My daughter's a hairstylist, and I was actually talking to her the other day. I was like, I think I want to do like rainbow colors or something. I don't know. That's a whole beside the point. But no, that's like the one, because she always wanted more. And I don't know if that just has always resonated with me, but she always just wanted more. She just wanted more. And I keep feeling like that, like throughout my life. Like I just want more. Like not stuff, but like
not settling for where you are.
Yeah, I just want more. I want to be better. I want to, I don't know, be a better person, be more. I don't know. Also, I've got a thing about mermaids. I don't know.
Yeah. They're fun.
Yeah.
So, last question, and it really, like, the end of your last answer really flows well into it. So, when you're done, into your life, right? You talked about you can't take anything with you. How do you want to be remembered?
I think about this a lot. Again, only because, my mom passed. And so it's one of those things where I don't know that I would have ever thought about it if I hadn't actually been in that situation, because my mom left an amazing legacy. Like, she touched so many lives. And I think if I could just be a percentage of what she was, like, I think I would feel successful, because, or that I did something good in my life, because I still, after 10 years, have people that tell me that my mom changed their lives. And if I
That's really cool.
had that, just a percentage of it, then I think that I would have done something good with this life.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the Cuddler Chronicles.
Thanks for having me.
There's so many pains around what you do. And the fact that you're not just trying to give people some pat answer, and you're trying to really figure out what they want, what they need, make it their house. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm so glad that I know you and I can refer people to you.
Thanks so much.
So tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, so you can go to our website, autumnhunterdesign.com. You can fill out a free estimate request form there. My assistant Kim gets back to people very, very quickly, and we'll get you on my schedule. Or shoot us an email, autumnhunterdesign@gmail. Although, look, I'm building out a new website right now, so I think emails are going to be changing. But you can also always find me on Facebook and Instagram, Autumn Hunter Design.
Autumn Hunter Design. That's awesome. So, Steffanie Atkins, Autumn Hunter Design. Thank you.
Thank you.